Classic.
Hello, I'm Matt and I'm from Furious Driving.
And I'm Ian, I'm from Hubnut.
Round of applause, more. Thank you very much. Hey, what a good start. There you go. Top-notch influencers. So, for people that may not know who you are, I'd like you to just kind of explain what you do, what kind of stuff you post on your channel, what edge you have, and offer your followers that other people don't.
If I had to sum it up quite succinctly, iDriver Classic is essentially a woman wearing your grandmother's clothes, wearing your granddad's car.
Nice.
Wearing? Driving.
Well, Furious Driving is a mix of car reviews of cars you probably remember but didn't aspire to when they were new, and a lot more, I don't know, optimism than talent whilst trying to fix them.
And you do the welding, yes. Hubnut, the overall theme is celebrating the average, which is why this event is it just gets me so excited, because it's all the cars of yesteryear that are generally forgotten, and the channel's all about celebrating that, with a bit of ham-fisted mechanicking along the way.
I just noticed, Matt, you just got very excited and pointed at something. What did you spot?
A baby blue Rover 75, just like a...
If you're the owner of the baby blue Rover 75, I think you've got a fan. So yeah, hopefully they can hear you.
Well, I have one very similar at home, which I debated bringing, but I thought it was too exceptional to bring.
Oh, so you've got a kindred spirit out there.
Friend.
So is there something about you and your channels that you think has kind of brought something new to the car scene? Like, how have you kind of shaken things up? Because there's, a lot of people make YouTube videos, but you guys have earned a position on the Festival of the Unexceptional stage today because you're exceptionally good at what you do. So what gives you that edge?
I think it's almost by accident, really. I started Hubnut primarily because I used to work in the classic car media, and you always had to write about certain cars. It's just, I want to write about these oddball ones. And so Hubnut began as a way of me having that freedom to talk about what I wanted to talk about. And I love the fact that I can put a video out about something wonderfully obscure and really quite dull, and people lap it up, and that's great. To find my audience has the same sort of views. It's the best thing about YouTube is you can drive down into your niche and you will find your audience, and that's been an unexpected bonus of it, a real joy.
When you set out to do your YouTube channel, did you have any idea, when you did that first video, was there an intention with it, or did you just give it a go?
Not at all. Oddly, I started with a Nissan Leaf. It was my first time driving an electric car. I wanted to record the experience, and then I just started recording what I was getting up to in my own cars, and it just built up from there. There was never any point I thought it might one day be a career, and somehow it has become one. But yeah, you just don't know how it's going to pan out, but the key thing is just to keep pumping the videos out and do it because you love doing it.
How about you, Matt?
Very similar to Ian, actually. I used to work in still do work in the classic car media.
Well, we used to work together sometimes.
Yeah, but pitching cars to editors was always a real faff, and I found a car I really like, send it to an editor, will they like it? Then they make a decision and they might say no because the advertisers won't like it. Much the same as Ian. I can then go, well, I found a Hustler, which is a weird mini-based thing made of wood. No magazine's going to run it, apart from once every 10 years. I've done 3 of them now, and every time people have gone crazy for it, because you just don't see it anywhere else. And I love this ability to go, much the same as Ian, find a niche, drill down into that niche. I love old Rovers, I love Italian cars. I can go and mess around with these things to my heart's content, and people will come along for the ride. And when I'm working on cars, I'm by no means an expert. Most of my car knowledge comes from watching my dad in the driveway, or photographing technical features for magazines where experts have shown the writer how to do a job and I've taken photos, and I kind of learn from that. Now I'll go and do a job in my car, I'll get through, I'll get stuck, and then I'll get a dozen comments from people saying, well, actually I've had one of those cars, what you need to do there is this, and I can move on with my project because the internet has told me how, which is fantastic. It's having a real sort of big friendly hug of support to say, okay, don't give up, you can keep going with this. And that's just brilliant.
That's so nice. So you've not only been empowered by taking that step of launching your own channel, but you're also empowering other people, with your knowledge, with your learning journey, and saying it's okay if you don't know what you do, because we're all kind of in the same boat.
Very much so, yes. It's very much a learning curve now. I have to Google things I don't know what I'm doing. I hope people can help me out. Also, people have watched the channel and they've commented saying, after I saw you do this, I've been and bought a welder. I've never dared weld before, but I saw you doing it in your driveway, so I've taken the chance. I'm going to try and fix my car, which is brilliant.
Welding is not easy.
No, it's horrible.
I'm sure there are other people out there that kind of feel that pain.
Yeah, and pain is very much the operative word, because the sparks, the flames, the burns, it's just nasty.
And how about you, Steph?
I guess I really always wanted to work in automotive, in classic automotive in general, and it was my big interest. But the thing is, Charlie, is nobody would take a punt on me, and everybody said, you've got to have experience to be able to get a job. But I thought, how am I going to get the experience if no one will take a punt on me? So I thought, I'm just going to go and have a go at making some videos, because I was taking photographs, putting them out on Instagram, because I'd owned a classic car for quite some time, created iDrive a Classic as a uni project, got a third on it and got told it was a terrible idea. So thanks very much.
What fools they were.
Thanks, Leeds Met. Cheers for that.
Same people who got rid of Beatles as well. They said they wouldn't get to me well.
Yeah,
Get the new Beatles.
So it was a bit of a weird one. Started videos in the early days were absolutely dreadful, but I thought, no, I'm going to push on, keep experimenting, keep making mistakes, learn from it, and most importantly, listen to valuable feedback as well. I remember Ian giving me some really great feedback early on, which was at the start of the video, and it was such a key thing. He said, start the car before you drive it, and I'd started at the end. I don't know why I did that. And Ian said, no, build up to that point. And I took that inspiration from Ian, built that up. I was inspired by Matt as well, having a go at stuff. And I've had people that have contacted me and said that they've followed my video. And the thing is unlike these two, I'm a complete novice with no mechanical knowledge or qualification whatsoever, and I show people how to do stuff. I work with a really lovely chap called Kevin, and we do stuff and we show people right from the basics, and I say, right, you're going to need this, you're going to start here. Kev says let's do it like this. Other people might not tell you to do it like this, and people have contacted me and said they've followed the videos on learning how to change head gaskets, or my favourite one, fit a Triumph input shaft. Somebody followed along with it who wasn't first language English, and he said because of the way you showed it and the way you explained it for real basics, I was able to follow it. And for me that was really nice, and I was really pleased that I did that. So I guess, what do I offer that other people don't? I think it's a market out there that we're really fortunate that we have a buzzing car community. Not every country does. And so I do car reviews, same as everyone else, but I put my own spin on it, and for me it was just about enjoying myself, and that should always be your premier goal, to enjoy yourself and enjoy what you're doing.
I think Steph particularly is someone that is very open and honest about the experiences that you have with your classic cars. There's another lady who owns a Morris Minor, and she's called Becca, and her podcast is recorded in the back of her car, and you did a video with her a few weeks ago about travelling abroad in your classic, and just seeing you two talk and share, you know, some real kind of scary experiences from your overseas driving and things like that. It's really refreshing when you can go and watch people, listen to people sharing those stories, that you might feel that concern yourself, and you were out there saying, you know, I'm worried too, this is what happened, and just trying to help other people, you know, learn to use their cars in the way that they want to use them as well. So I think it's very impressive with what you've done, particularly when someone told you that you shouldn't do it. So, on the photo theme, I think both of you have pointed at cars that you've seen today, but there's another one. What are we looking at here?
A Fiat Brava. I put a review of one of those out last night, and I owned one for about 2 weeks this year.
Well, my next question is... Yes, that's very good. What is your most photo-themed acquisition? So this could be a car that you've owned for a little while, it could be something that you borrowed to do a video, it could be something you've still got. So what have we got in our garages, or have we had for a YouTube video?
I think the car I'm in today is probably my best bet. It's not actually mine. I managed to help my father-in-law-to-be buy it just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm here in a 1997 Vauxhall Corsa 1.2 Merit. Base model, just blanking plugs ahoy. It is so simple, but it's actually a really great drive. We've driven it up from Sussex, and it's just a lovely thing, and it fits the theme so well, because other than at this show, you don't generally see Corsas at all anymore. They've become so rare, that first generation of Corsa. There's a very, very lovely one in the concourse section here, but yeah, that's what the show is about really. It's the street furniture you just don't see anymore.
What was that drive like? Because that's quite a journey to make to come to Photo.
Yeah, but it sits at 70 happily enough. The traffic was absolutely abysmal, but thankfully it's quite happily pottering along, which I will remember because I learned to drive in exactly one of those cars rather too many years ago, back in 1995. So it's been a wallow in nostalgia all the way up here.
How about you, Matt?
Well, I was going to say the Punto that I came in today, because that's a real nostalgia thing as well, because we had 2 of those back in the 90s and they were really good cars. But it's an ELX, it's way too nice to be a proper Festival of Exceptional car. It's top spec.
Sounds a bit decadent.
It's very, it's got electric windows and an electric sunroof, and it once had central locking on remote, but someone lost the key. So I'm going to go back to a Mark III Escort, an orange Mark III Escort 1.3, which was horrible. It was,
Yay!
It was just nasty. No anything, no options at all. Someone had put an aftermarket sunroof in that leaked.
But they always leak.
Oh, they did, yeah.
I don't know anyone that's got a sunroof in their car that hasn't just got a constant dribble on their forehead.
I used to park with plastic bags over so I could get into a dry car in the morning. It would cut out on the motorway with no reason because there was dirt in the carburettor. To stop and then shake the car to free the carburettor. It was just a horrible car. It was very basic, not fast. Just not good anywhere at all, really.
How long did you have that for then?
Oh, about 9 months. I worked for a place where we went through escorts as like a rotating company car. Not a company, we weren't driving cars, but we used them for work, so they were kind of disposable at the time. So we got through a lot of escorts, really. My fault, sorry.
What was the breaking point that I just got to get rid of you? What happened?
I drove into the back of a BMW.
Intentionally?
Not exactly, no.
Are you sure?
Maybe a little.
Should we move on?
I think so.
Yeah. Steph?
Well, my story actually involves Matt. So for anyone who's watched the channel, you probably know about my Proton Saga. So I've got Proton Saga 1.5 MPI, and it
Look
is
at that little wriggle there. Oh, girl.
I love it. And do you know what? So many people give me shade for it, and I absolutely love it. Because people are like, oh, is that your granddad's car? Did someone really old die and give you that? Well, kind of, yeah. So this lovely, lovely lady and gentleman, married couple, contacted me, and the email said, do you want a free car? Now, I'm not usually taken in by a scam, but if this was a scam, I was going to sign right up for it. I thought, right, let's go for it. So I emailed back and just put yes. Didn't even ask what it was. Didn't even ask what condition it was in, because I was desperate. I had my Triumph, and my Triumph is famously unreliable. I don't think I've ever got from A to B without breaking down or having a problem. And I got offered this Proton, got sent pictures of it, and it was really tidy. But here's the thing, there was a bit of a catch. It hadn't been driven in over 10 years. And the gentleman owner had died, and the whole situation was really sad, actually. And then to add a bit of peril, they said, but you've got to come and get it this weekend. So I thought, what am I going to do? And I was due to go to the cinema with my friend, and I said, oh, I'm really sorry, I've got to work, because I thought I can't be bothered to fall out. And anyway, Matt also got offered this car, but I'd done fastest finger first on the buzzer. And Matt said, look, can I come and do the video with you, and we'll share the glory. So we went, and then if it wasn't perilous enough that I was trying to get this car from Kent back to Huddersfield in Yorkshire without anything going wrong, they said, you've got an hour to get it all off. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, we've got to go in an hour, we've got to leave.
There's a lot of pressure on you for this.
I know, so we rolled it out, didn't we? We took a battery off a Morris Minor, we roped in a friend, we had a jerry can of petrol. We didn't have much time to check everything, so we checked all the levels, everything looked right, didn't it? And then it had this stale petrol in, and we said, oh, we'll just give it a go. So anyway, if you've watched the video, and if you haven't, I'm about to give you a big spoiler, because essentially we turned the key, it started, and there was no drama.
People thought it was a fix and we'd staged it, but it was just genuinely how the car went.
And it was, so I kind of had this MOT booked, which I thought I'm going to have to cancel. And I thought, oh my God, I'm actually going to take this to the MOT now. So I thought I'll stop at a car wash on the way, which is a little bit of a grey area, I don't think you're supposed to. But I thought there's no way that I could turn up with like bits of dead birds stuck all on the outside of the car. So anyway, I get there, take it through the car wash, get it through the MOT. The man rings me and he said, the only problem with this car is you're the owner. I think it's a bit too nice for you. And it was on 10,000 miles from you. And I'd love to tell you I donated it to a museum, but it's actually at the back of the field with nearly 60,000 miles after less than 2 years.
You've done 50,000 miles in that car?
Yes, I have. Been busy.
This kind of scenario is not something that happens to most people. Is this something that's came through YouTube, and does this happen a lot?
I've taken a blind punt punt on 2 cars in my life. Everything else I've checked fastidiously. Anything I've checked has been a terrible car. Anything I've done as a blind gamble has been fantastic. Morris Minor was a blind gamble, hadn't been on the road in over 20 years, great car. The Proton, a great car. Anything I've actually checked has been diabolical. So anything now I get offered blind, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. But I don't think it's normal. They're just, I don't really understand where they got my email
I'm
address
kind of the
from.
same. I now think if I accept a car, I'll just say stick it on a truck. I'll have a look at it when I get here, because anything I've checked out has turned out to be rusty or broken.
So is the top tip here not to overthink, not to check, just say yes, buy the car, do the car, take the car, that's
Buy
it?
in the rain, in the dark. Yeah, just hand over a bunch of cash and just drive away, hope for the best.
Yeah,
Or just say yes to a free car?
That's it.
well, the key thing is, there's no such thing as a bad breakdown if you're making content. Chaos is content. So if it all goes wrong, you're at first distressed because the car's broken. Then you're thinking, well, get the camera rolling because this is great. So when I crashed the Ford Fairmont I'd imported from the other side of the world, in the first week or 2 of having it here, and crashed off the road, obviously just that moment of, oh, what have you done? And it was just like, get the camera rolling, capture the emotion, the raw emotion of what have I done, and yeah, you try and
That's true
bring
motoring,
some
isn't
joy
it?
to it.
We've
Yeah.
all been there, and I think you can, when you see a video like that, you can identify with it, because we've all had these disasters happen to us.
Exactly.
I'm interested, what disasters have you two encountered through doing silly things like saying yes to free cars?
Well, this wasn't free. I paid quite lots of money to import a Crown Victoria police car from America, and the first year was brilliant. And it's been my best video, I think, of the year now, when I discovered that it actually wasn't the rust-free car that they promised me in the dealership, and it's got no sills.
Oh, that was painful viewing, painful
awful.
viewing,
It was
but
worth being there.
must-see viewing. Oh my gosh, so much filler and foam.
Foam. How much foam did they use? Oh, it was awful.
And so do these videos that are a bit more dramatic, shall we say, do they tend to get more views than sort of a fixed video and things like that? How does YouTube work for you nowadays?
I love
'Cause
drama.
it's all against algorithms and stuff like that.
I would love to say I understand the algorithm. I haven't got a clue. We just do what we do, and I think that's what people buy into. It's more real because we're not dreaming up scripts or anything like that. It's just real life as it happens.
Now, I may not be accurate in saying this, but I think that, like dog owners, they often look like their cars. There's something that you kind of identify with. So, what car would you say best represents your personalities and yourselves on a photo theme?
Oh, that really is a tricky one, especially as I've been distracted. A Vauxhall
Matt's
Sintra.
smiling. I think he's got an answer right there.
I own 15 cars. I've no idea which one I most like. Everything from
Confused.
a Mini to a Crown Vic. I'm pretty much like an old Series 3 Land Rover.
And what about that? Are you drawn to? Why do you love it so much?
It's not particularly pretty. It's just practical and gets on with stuff. And it's just generally amiable.
I like that. Very sensible choice. Yeah. How about you, Steph?
I would probably say I'm most like a Metro. So I've got a saggy bottom unless I've got a bit of support. I'm past my best, but I've still got a lot of life left in me, and I'm quite popular with old people, just like most Metros.
Steph, you need your own show, babe. And how about you, Ian?
Of the fleet cars I've got, maybe it's the Daewoo Matiz. It's just a little bit unusual, and it tries ever so hard, and just about manages to get along.
Oh, that's really lovely. Yeah, thank you. I'm too far away to give you a hug or a pat, but thank you
Does
for
someone
that,
take us on a
Matt.
date now after that?
Yeah, so it's a weird sort of like speed dating scenario, isn't it? I am silly. Yeah, anyone out there? Any takers? Yeah.
I'll take that man there in the white jacket.
Aww. Do you want to give him a shout out? Pop on, yeah.
Yeah, cheers, Fred. Thanks for filming everything. I couldn't do it without you.
Oh,
Not holding a camera.
true love. So, I think you mentioned one earlier, Steph, but I'm intrigued to know what's the most unreliable car that you've, again, either owned or, you know, it's shown up for a YouTube video on a borrow and has just been a complete pain in the bottom.
I once had a Golf, which if it's still out there, and occasionally I do check on DVLA Checker, and I'm really shocked that it's not been scrapped yet, was an awful Mark II, a white Mark II Golf, and my ex-boyfriend picked it, and just like him, it was an absolute nightmare, and it was so bad that when the man drove it away, and I was like this, like, oh my God, please just take it when you arrive. He loved it so much, and I stalked his Facebook profile afterwards. He'd had it tattooed on him, and I thought, you You've obviously had better luck than me, mate, because I couldn't wait to forget
Do you
it.
not have a car-themed tattoo?
I do,
Yeah.
but he had this golf tattooed on his arm. I thought that is the car I never want to remember. And anyway, it used to just break all the time. And when he drove away, I wished him luck. I said, good luck. Because I thought, if you get home, good luck. And he did. And I thought, right, it just wasn't for me. But that's the worst car I've owned, Charlotte, and I hope I never see it again.
Maybe it's out there today.
I
What
hope
would you
not.
do if you saw it again?
I would absolutely howl. I'd take a picture with it, I'd take a selfie and send it to all my friends. Worst thing, and do you know what? Several people hit it, and every time they repaired it, they never wrote it off, they just kept repairing it. I'm like, just stop, let it die. It wants it to die, I want it to die, just let it go.
Well, hopefully it's gone to the scrap heap in the sky. Yeah. How about you, Matt?
Well, I should say the nice Alto Alpha 33, which used to have some electric gremlins, the lights would not work, the door windows would drop into the door, I kept having to go to scrapyards and buy new doors to replace them. The heater matrix dumped all its fluid over my feet one day, and the boot would open, and if it turned off it wouldn't restart much warm. But that's only second place to a relatively new 3-year-old BMW 5 Series, which just broke constantly and expensively. Wiring faults, broke all the lights in the tailgate, the back axle broke, the handbrake broke, the central locking broke, it sucked the turbo through the engine,
Wow.
going through the hind end tunnel. Yeah, BMW 5 Series, a new shape one. Worst car ever.
The thing is, so I've inherited a classic car quite a while ago, 6 years, this is the 6th summer I've had it, and I didn't know anything about nuts and bolts and mechanics. Thankfully my dad, who is over there, and not paying attention, is a mechanic, and he's been very helpful, still not paying attention. But every time something has gone wrong with the car, I've got upset, I've got scared, I've thought I've broken it, I've killed it, all of these things, you know, you get the rush of fear. But over time, I'm trying to kind of tell myself that it's an opportunity to learn. So what point do you get to when you're just saying, I hate this car?
With that car is when it sucked its turbo through the engine and it cost me 12 grand to replace it.
Yummy!
Ouch.
What did that sound like?
Lumpy. It was like bitty and clattery and a huge cloud of smoke. And there's now the 33 going past. And that one's still working.
I know, you've got your eyes everywhere, haven't you? Never switched off.
The thing is, with a nice car, like my Alfa 145 is pretty unreliable, but it's always a reward, it's going to be a great car when it works again, so I kind of don't mind fixing it a bit more. When it's a modern car that's going to get you places, you really notice every failure. And I think you notice modern cars breaking more than old cars. It's part of the character of a modern car.
It's an expectation, and but you know you can also give it a go in terms of fixing it. You don't have to have a diagnostics machine, an engineer that does electronics rather than mechanics.
Exactly, we've got a roll of tools in the boot, so you can probably lash it together and get home somehow, rather than having to wait for someone with a computer to come and tell the car it's working again.
So share your story of pain, Ian.
Oh, there are so many. I'm struggling to know which one to pick.
Going through the finer facts.
I've got a Citroen GSA which is fighting me every step of the way at the moment, but to be fair, most of the issues with that are inflicted by me, so I think it's unfair to pick on the car. So I'm just wondering if there's anyone here who remembers my Daimler from many years ago. Yes, the Daimler is
a few hands out
remembered.
there.
I bought it in Glasgow. I had to fix a fuel leak before I tried driving it home back to Wales, and then one of the calipers seized, so I had to try and free that off as well. Drove it all the way home, and it actually drove really well. And then as soon as I got it home, it kind of refused to ever work again. And I thought, I'll go and check the fuses, so I opened the fuse panel. It had melted. And it was just like, this one's over. And sadly that car left me to become a parts vehicle. But that purchase did not go well. Or it could be the Toyota Camry I only bought because it had 2 rear windscreen wipers.
Perfect
And I
choice.
completely ignored the fact it very clearly had head gasket failure. So when the dealer took me for a drive in it, I noticed him turning the heater up to try and stop it overheating, and I still bought it. And I paid a lot more money than I did for the Daimler.
And what happened to that one?
It did actually get me home again, but it started belching coolant everywhere so badly I couldn't use it, and I sold it for far less than I paid for it. So
it's
not a
fair
good
to say
buy.
it doesn't always sort of build your relationship with your car when it's going wrong.
No, absolutely not. But
Okay.
like Matt says, I think with the older the car, the more you forgive it, really.
So is there a car that if someone, I mean, you've said yes to a free car, but is there a car that if someone offered you to have it for free, what car would you just say, I just, no just is not for me, regardless of what state it's in. You know, we're thinking it's drivable, it works, it might be reliable, but what could you just not have in your garage?
There is one here, so to the owner of said vehicle, I apologise. It's Chrysler PT Cruiser.
Is the owner out? Oh, there's the owner!
I'm very sorry.
Awkward!
To be fair, it is the only car I've ever got done.
I think you should
speeding.
hug it out afterwards.
Yeah.
I really want one of those.
Well, we've both tested them, haven't we, on our channel?
Objectively, it's terrible.
How about you, Steph?
I think for me it's a Nissan Qashqai because I am not a mum, I'm not trying to park on double yellows, I'm not trying to scratch people's cars and multi-stories. Hello Richard Dredge! Hello!
Is this your personal photographer?
Do not give me a double chin, Richard, or I'll have it out with you afterwards. But yeah, look, I'm not a stressed out mum on the school run, would not drive a Nissan Qashqai. I say that like I'm in a higher position driving a Proton, but look, I just wouldn't.
So is there anything that you guys are looking for today?
There is just too much. I mean, we've got a Moskvich Aleko here, parked behind a Tatra 603 with its air-cooled V8 engine.
And a Volga.
But then more focuses, if that's a plural of focus. Yeah, but I've ever seen. That one's particularly nice.
I can't believe there's still people arriving.
Yeah, it's
so many cars, it's quite incredible.
It's impossible to film, but the beauty is because there is so much, we can all put our own personal spin on it. And there's lots of other YouTubers here as well. So there's going to be loads of reports out there after the show, and every one of them will be different just because there's so many cars.
I think the thing to look for here is the thing you didn't expect to see, because there are so many things already I've gone, there's no way I thought I'd see that today.
I was actually looking for Proton John, who's over there, because I needed some parts.
Giving us a wave. Everyone look at
And he's
Proton
sorting
John!
out. Thanks, John. Cheers. Also, his dad, Pete, who's going to come and have a look at my car later and tell me what's wrong with it. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, he's the spanners on man, isn't he? He keeps your entire fleet on the road, as I understand it. Thumbs up for dads, and my dad's over there. I think he's paying attention now. There he is, yeah. I gave you a shout out earlier for looking after the car. Yeah, now he loves it, everyone, yeah. So, with your approaches to the content that you're going to put out after the festival, obviously you already said there are so many cars, but what specifically will you kind of be looking for in your individual sort of videos from today?
I have been doing, so I think it was last year that I started going around and getting people's stories, because I remember meeting the owner of a Tercel and he told me about how his family, it was a few years ago actually, where they'd saved it from tsunami and they'd been
he was parked over there, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I just loved it, and I thought actually it's not just seeing the cars here, it's hearing people's stories, because you know what, there are a lot of boring non-car people, and I'm sure we all know them out there. Some of them are our close relatives. They're going, oh, why have you saved that? It's only worth, you know, £100 or scrap value. But it's not about that. It's the passion. It's why you invest all that money, why you invest all that time. So for me, it's seeing some of the cars and getting some of that car porn into the video, but also getting some of the stories as well. People have driven, Charlotte, over 2,000 miles to be here
Spain
for one
and Portugal,
day.
I think.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Netherlands, it's incredible. Sweden. I just think that's brilliant, and for me that's what we're all united by. No matter what we've arrived in, is we're all united in a passion for cars that we've definitely spent more money on than they're actually worth.
So